forgiveness and answered prayers. In the midst of his ramblings about how and why he could do better, I heard myself mumble, "Brother, we need you."
I use my color to be hopeful for change, cause if I alter, altercations might just go through. I change as well, cause time will tell about the scale of worth, cause earth is so forbidden. Pride only constitutes.
I met Muwali Mel Davis when we were on the cusp of manhood. It is always an interesting time in one's life because it's filled with doubt and forecasting. Despite projections, there's really no way to truly tell what a boy will become once he leaps from his pubescent state into the abyss of adulthood. The future is even cloudier for tumultuous souls like Muwali, who harbor the spirits of hurricanes. Though not yet in his 20s, Muwali seemed oddly old to me, too knowing for his age, and deftly wrestling with contradictions. He was ragingly defiant, but attempting to survive as a midshipman at the United States Naval Academy, a place defined by conformity. He was confident, but plagued by doubts as he moved from spaces he had mastered as a boy in Chicago to ones in which he had little expertise or power as a man. Like all of us, he was growing, becoming, initially piercing the cocoon that would lead to his evolution into an unknown thing.
There are some things I had to figure out, painful. There are some things I never had to figure out, thankful. I had to figure out how to be honest with my son's mother, how to be a husband to their mother, and to not try to own her, my wife, my woman. To keep my hands off my son's mom, to heal my past pain so that I have room to absorb my son's pain when they come. How to be present even when my money ain't right. Because he's in high school and there are things that he can't learn from high school buddies about women, fighting, drugs, drinking, life, that I can't tell him in drive-by lectures. But there are other things I didn't have to figure out. Things you taught me well. I never had to figure out how to get myself up every morning and work long hours to support my family. How to go on family trips. How to dance around the house with my son. How to hold my son's hand. How to let my son know that I was disappointed without breaking his spirit. How to show my son how to take something apart around the house to fix it and not be able to put it back together. How to make my son think I'm the strongest and toughest man in the world. How to cry in front of my son. How to blame their mother for being late to everything. How to love my sons in the way that no matter what I do, they'll always be able to know in their hearts that I love them. I love them. I love them. There are some things that I had to figure out, painful, and there are some things I never had to figure out, thankful.
We Need You is not a self-absorbed autobiography or volume filled with empty philosophical musings. It is a call to action for a current and new generation of engaged critical thinkers and actors who will move our people forward.
What's up, Camden? How y'all doing?
What's up, brother?
Good. I'm Muwali Davis. I am from the dirty South. That is Atlanta, the red clay. I'm a civil rights attorney. I'm an activist, a human rights organizer. I am a father, and I am a part of the struggle for Black liberation that continues in these yet-to-be United States. And I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to be with you all as young creators. I began as a creator, as a poet. One of the first places that I publicly shared poetry as an artist was here in Camden. And so for me, this is a coming home. And so I consider Philadelphia, New Jersey as my cultural and political birthplace. I was born in Chicago, but here is where I was born as an activist and an organizer, which led to me becoming a civil rights attorney. I wrote "We Need You," encouraging my son's generation for Black liberation as an offering to my sons and to all of you as you figure your way forward through your creativity, through your engagement to do the work that we need in order to be a liberated people. The jail booth became a confessional, full of admitted sins, forgiveness, and answered prayers. In the midst of his ramblings about how and why he could do better, I heard myself mumble, "Brother, we need you." I was in a jail booth speaking to a newfound brother, not just a client. He suddenly stopped talking, and he looked surprised but not confused. He raised his head, and we looked into each other's eyes in a way that two Black men would never do if we were walking down the street. We didn't look away, we didn't flinch, and then I repeated with more confidence and clarity, "Brother, we need you." This brother joined me in warming the cold jail booth with the intensity of our shared pain and the warmth of our tears. Saying "we need you" was a confession that I needed him too, in the same way that I needed my brother to be present, reliable, and loving to me. It came to me on a spiritual level that it just wasn't me who needed my brother or this brother on the other side of the glass. I realized that we, as a community, as a people, needed them. We all need them. The millions of Black brothers and sisters throughout the country physically locked up in the jails and prisons across America, and the multitudes who are shackled in their own minds. We need all of them to find that moment, the moment before their dreams were stolen and their spirits broken by a system that maintains a world where Black people are not safe and Black dreams are not safe. 8 Black men wearing black t-shirts which read, "We love y'all too much," had gone into the conflict to help our young people. It was the second day of the George Floyd protest in Atlanta. We walked into the area near the CNN Center where just the day before, police cars had been set on fire, windows of businesses had been smashed out, and buildings spray painted with "Fuck 12. Young people, looking dazed and confused, were running towards us out of a cloud of tear gas. At the same time as they were running away, there were still cars driving leisurely towards the CNN Center, yelling, "Black Lives Matter, no justice, no peace." We were trying to wave them down to tell them to turn around. One of the young men was reading our shirts. He looked at us and he yelled, "Hey, Unc, who y'all love too much?" I pointed at them and shouted, "Y'all, we love y'all too much." The other men I was with also pointed and yelled, "We love y'all too much." The young brother yelled back, "We love y'all too."
All my people need love. I know life has been tough, and lately it's been so rough.
The previous night, Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms held an emotional press conference chastising the protesters for tearing up their own city and encouraging them to go home. She was joined by rappers Killer Mike and T.I. and community organizers. There were cars on fire, stores being broken into, and people being arrested into the early morning hours. We have taken Kahari and our older son Kobe to protest since they were born. When Kahari was 2, We attended an outdoor performance of Public Enemy. As Kahari sat on my shoulders, he joined Chuck D and the crowd of thousands when they began chanting, "Fuck Bush, fuck Bush," in reference to George Bush, who had waged a war against the sovereign nation in search of weapons of mass destruction that did not exist. It was these kinds of experiences that clearly shaped Kahari's militancy. To stop him from participating would have been akin to betrayal of everything we taught him. My wife, Jana, burst into the room and turned on the television. She was visibly shaking, and she showed me the protest and the confrontation with the police. I could feel the intensity growing and the anger building. I could sense the situation was going to become more dangerous as the protest continued into the night. I attempted to call Kahari to convince him to come home. He didn't answer. I texted him. He didn't respond. I had to go get my son from the protest. The crowd was young, diverse, and outraged. I met a young woman who had been shot with a shotgun. She showed me where the buckshot was still lodged. They looked like tiny black balls embedded in her brown legs. She gave me permission to take a picture of the back of her calf. I wondered if the pellets would be in her leg forever. I thought that even if they came out, there would still be scars left. Or maybe indentations or unevenness in her skin where the pellets had been lodged. My mind was racing frantically about the future, about what she would say to her future husband or partner, about the pellets, scars, or whatever evidence was left that she had been shot. I wondered if when she had children, when she got older, if her children would run their tiny little fingers over the back of mommy's legs and ask what happened. Would her children cry for her like I cried within? Because this system had scarred her simply because she dared to stand up. Our history is full of young people whose names most we do not know, but who found a way to contribute to our struggle, our movement, who tried to change the world. Our resistance has come in different forms, but it has always come. It has come like rain, sometimes a drizzle, sometimes a downpour. Fortunately, it has always come, and it's always refreshing and life-giving. Resistance quenches our thirst for justice, safety, and security. The history of our struggle is documented through the young people who were a part of the 150 revolts on slave ships as they were attempting to drag us into the Western Hemisphere. Evidence came through the thousands of young people in the streets of Soweto who refused to disperse. The drizzle became a downpour when over 70,000 students at historically black colleges and universities across the South followed their lead and began sitting in, which led to the formation of SNCC. Resistance was a pounding rainstorm when those courageous SNCC organizers dressed in overalls to blend in with the people and went into communities in Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia. It came down with the young people wearing black berets and leather jackets in Oakland, California, when the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense demanded an immediate end to police brutality. It came down as a cleansing rain when students at San Francisco State University went on strike to demand the first Black Studies program. It came as students fought to end apartheid in South Africa. It came in this new reign of resistance when young people who poured into the streets of Ferguson Baltimore, Chicago, Oakland, New York, Minnesota stood with local youth. Some of them were wearing leggings and bamboo earrings and tattoos on their faces. There were the 10,000 young people in Atlanta shouting Black Lives Matter as they blocked the highway after Philando Castile and Alton Sterling were killed within days of each other. There had been and continue to be young people coming like the rain, reminding us that all is not lost, that there is hope still coming, and that this generation of friends and comrades who will be the storm, the drizzle, and the waters of resistance. We are called to create relationships, communities, organizations, institutions, nations, and ultimately a world where we are safe and our lives are considered sacred again. It is when we make the world safe for us, it becomes safe for everyone. I am eternally grateful that on a daily basis to varying degrees, I'm able to witness comrades and friends engaging in the centering, collaboration, and creation. They are closing jails, removing Confederate monuments, supporting political prisoners, building schools, creating businesses, changing the political landscapes of states, defending their lives, and so many other expressions of self-determination and life affirmation. The list of people who join together in mind, body, and soul to do the work in the different facets of our movement is truly amazing and inspiring. Their audacity allows them to build a new world every day, and has also birthed organizing models and strategies for us to clearly see our way forward beyond the chaos. I believe that with absolute certainty, these life-sustaining efforts to prevail and for victory to be won, we need you. So all of the pieces that you heard, all of the music that you listened to, they were all created by young creators that are part of our program, the Black Man Lab, and it was the We Need You project. And so the video that was shot, every camera was manned by a young creator, and the editing was done by my son, who just graduated from Howard University and is now in LA, hopefully trying to find his way as a filmmaker. So I'm open for cute questions and answers, and I'm just grateful to be in this space and to share this version of this presentation for the first time here. So thank you all for letting me premiere it here with you all.
Another round of applause. That was fantastic. So how's it going, everyone? My name's Carlton Harris. I think I'll be like the interviewer here. And I'm really privileged and honored to be sitting on the same couch, let alone in the same city, and someone with such as high, someone such high regard sitting on such a couch. Please give them, I know I asked this already, one more round of applause. Right, so we have a few questions prepared, and then we're gonna, is it okay if you open the floor?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Thank you. So we've seen so many videos, the performance was fantastic. Me coming from a performance background, it was like, man, this is smooth. You know, there's obviously some technical difficulties, as you can hear, but you just kept it flowing. But let me ask maybe the question is, how are you using your creativity to get your message across?
So the book, We Need You, encourage my son's generation for Black liberation, is really, it started when my oldest son in 2018 was preparing to leave to go away to Howard from Atlanta. So a group. I just felt like, you know, had I done enough? And as you all become parents and your children get ready to leave, you like, you had this moment, you're like, man, let me give you a little bit more. Let me take this with you. And so I started writing the book. I didn't finish it until he graduated, so it was a 4-year project because I practiced law and I just hadn't had, it was difficult to finish.
Yeah.
But I wrote the piece, and when I finished it, I said, how is this really going to get to young people? And we went to our board and said, let's do a fellowship. We gathered 52 young people. Some of them, they come very diverse. Right, and when I say diverse, I mean in terms of background. Some of them come out from movement families. Their families, some of them, their grandparents were political prisoners. Some of them come out of street organizations. Some of them graduated college. Some of them were trying to find a job. So it was just really, really different, right? And so what we asked them to do was to take the book. We had some educators who run an African-centered school in Atlanta called Quilombo. We asked them to create a study guide. And so we asked these 52 young people from 12 to 26 to read the book and then to collaborate. So what we were saying is that let's center on the book, let the book, the history, the culture that I talk about in it, let that kind of center everyone, then collaborate and create. And so we had young people who, you know, did spoken word, they rap, they sing. There's some great pieces, and out of it, they created this album. And so it's 25 pieces, and I think we passed around where you can scan and hear the music. And so that was the vision was for the young people to digest it and then create something that inspired you all's generation, and so you got a chance to see that video. We have some more videos that'll come out in the next month and a half or so around the album. So that's how we're trying to use the creativity as a weapon. You know, we talk about culture and arts being a weapon that can be used for our liberation, and just like what y'all are doing in here.
Fantastic. Maybe let's talk about you for a second, right? You from Georgia?
From Chicago originally.
Chicago.
Right? Yeah, so I was born and raised in Chicago, on the south side of Chicago in a neighborhood, and I talk about it in the book, a neighborhood called Jeffrey Manor. And I went away to the Naval Academy. I played basketball there. When I graduated, within about 9 months of graduating, or about a year after I graduated, I ended up in Philly. I was on an aircraft carrier. I got a chance to become really engrossed in poetry. So I started as a poet, a performing poet with the Maurice Henderson and the National Black Authors Tour. And so that was 30 years ago. 30 years ago. So when I say Philly, Jersey, this is my cultural birthplace. This is where I really came. I was 22, 23. Okay. And so it clicked here that, you know, the work that we do in our lives are really not just about just kicking it and having fun. And it's bigger than that, especially when you come from a people who've been oppressed. You have to figure out what our role is to alleviate the suffering of black people. And that ended me on this long journey to practicing law, and then ultimately coming here, writing a book, and sitting on this couch with you, a young creator.
Yes, sir. So now I'm begging to ask the question. Your field of choice is grueling, right? A lot of people who are just maybe regular people, maybe even someone like me, they wouldn't necessarily envy your life because it's so grueling. You have to do this, you have to do that. It's so diligent, really a tedious line of work, right? Like I was asking one of my lawyer buddies, I think he's studying at UPenn right now, just graduated from Cornell. He's at UPenn. I asked him, how long does that kind of stuff take? He said it's a process, right? If you're at the beginning, it can take your whole life. If you're at the end, all you got to do is finish that last push. what are two questions? What are you trying to push for, and where are you at in that process?
Yeah, that's a great question. I appreciate that. So I'm in my 20th year of practice. So I am, I would think, maybe in my prime, right? Like, it's like I always compare it to being in the NBA, you know. And when I talk to law students, I talk to really any student. At some point, you're gonna turn pro, and being a pro just means somebody will pay you for what you do.
Yeah.
And so when you turn pro, no one cares if it's your first day being a pro or or you're a vet. You got to come with it, right? And that's the whole thing as it relates to young people, is that get out and grind and go hard, and at the same time take care of yourself, right? We used to have the idea of just like grind, and that's cool, but you also have to take care of yourself and listen to your body, your mental health, and self-care, and that's important. So what I'm pushing for now is really about building an institution that will survive beyond me. And that is our law firm, that's our nonprofit, the Black Man Lab, and you know, we'd love for y'all to follow on Instagram. It's called Official Black Man Lab, LAB, because we believe that we have to, you know, just like, and I keep making these basketball analogies because I played ball, and my dad was, as you can see, was with the Harlem Globetrotters. But one of the things is that we have to get in the lab and work on the skills that we need to be about the business of liberating our people, right? No one gets to sit on the sidelines. We see mass suffering of black and brown folk all over the planet, yet we're the majority, but we're suffering and in poverty. So there's something off, but we're the ones, you all, are the ones who get to get it right, you know, to correct it, and to change it. And that's what I began 30 years ago in Philadelphia at 22. And that's what I continue. That continues to be the inspiration of my life, is to be of service and just remain in love with black people. Because everything that this world says is that we should love ourselves, that we should love each other. And then we see it play out in the street. But what we're saying is that we got to start with love, you know. So I come in this space in love, you know, and so that's the work.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know it seems like I'm the only question, but I guess I have one more, and then I see everyone out there dying, their hands just itching to be raised. I got one more. I'm so sorry. So when I was in school, high school, college, and everything, it was kind of like not the height or the height of the Black Lives Matter, man.
Black Lives
I
Matter.
should just open up to the floor. At the BLM movement, but it was just beginning to start. Right. So when I went to high school in Canada, there were so many protests about, we don't want these type of schools. Stop closing our schools. Stop firing our teachers. And they were heavily getting the youth involved. Right. Why do I bring this up? Because the last video we saw, there was nothing but youth in that video. It was like you were getting involved. But when I was in school, I just wasn't the most interested in that, right? I played the saxophone, and they would hire me out for gigs. I'd be like, oh, it's just another gig. How are you like priming them, engaging them? Almost, I don't know, sometimes it's a negative connotation, but grooming them for that, like, we want you guys to be here to take that next step forward. So like, as you said, you're building it up for the people after you.
Yeah, now, this is it right here. What y'all have created is it, right? Safe space. A space where young people can come and feel free to create. And then when they come in to create, we share and we collaborate. So, you know, we see, you know, we hear you, you know. So a lot of the young people who are on the album, they weren't rapping about Fred Hampton, but they were by the time we finished, because we also brought the political piece to it. So I think creating safe spaces for young people is the first start, where they can come and feel comfortable, feel safe, and encouraged. And that's the beauty of me coming here today, is that you feel right at home, because this is the space. I left Like our goal, you asked what my goal is to recreate something like this in Atlanta, you know, because this is what we need. We got to do this.
Wow.
And then when, here's what we believe. We believe that if our young people are surrounded by love, resources, and encouragement, we will prevail without question. Without question. And that's why so many obstacles and impediments are put in our way to distract us from our greatness. But this is a lab of sorts where you can block out the noise about the anti-youth and the anti-black and the anti-Latino and the we loving it here. And then from it, great things are created.
Yeah. Hands raised. There we go. The front row.
You don't need the mic, let me speak up.
Yeah, there you go. Like that.
Good day. Proud of everything you've done.
Thank you.
I'm upset that I didn't know you sooner to be able to just hear the story. And, you know, I don't know if you ever like watch people on Instagram, just watch them grow from afar.
Yeah.
I wish I could find everybody like that because I have a bunch of people like that. So obviously I'm gonna follow you now. But my one question is to you is how do we connect you with other people like Cynthia and Idea, and maybe there's somewhere in Chicago that are doing the same thing, that have to communicate about the hurdles that y'all go through, so now y'all know how to operate moving forward if anybody else wants to create this safe space.
Yeah. No, that's a great question. What's your name, brother?
Justin De Guzman.
Justin. We have to keep looking for each other, and it's hard because when you're building something, your head is down and you're building, but creating and we used to, and I come out, you know, you talked about the Black Lives Matter, you know, movement. I come out of the African-centered, Afrocentric movement. That was, you know, the hype. And we used to have conferences where you might be in a conference and John Henry Clark is there, and these great scholars, Ivan Van Sertima, and it's a renewing of your spirit, but there's also an exchange of ideas and information. And I don't know that I've seen gatherings like that where we're encouraging the building of safe spaces for Black creators. And I think that is a way for us to do it. A lot of it now is done in the social media space, and that's another way of connecting. And I'll tell you, had you been following me on Instagram, you would not have seen much development. You just see me posting a bunch of flyers. So, but I'm working on trying to develop that content. And it's been a struggle for me because all of my teachers, it's been about not self-promotion. You know, even me coming out on the road like this is different because all of our focus is mass movement, how do we build, but for me to even really do social media more is stretching me out of my comfort zone of, you know, now everybody wants to be a celebrity. But my teachings is that revolutionaries don't want to be celebrity, you just want to be revolutionary.
Come on.
And then you just do the work, right? So I guess I hope I answered, but we all just got to keep connecting. We got to keep connecting, we got to keep looking. And the other thing, and I'll say this and be quiet, is that I work primarily in Black men development space. And so I see other Black men development organizations, and sometimes I feel like people think there's a competition. How you gonna compete? And we in a war, right? You know what I mean? We in a war for the hearts, minds, and spirits of our people. There is no competition. So I think we have to keep collaborating with each other and be intentional about it. So I hope that's helpful, Justin.
Yeah.
Thank you, man.
Yes.
Quick question. Like my name is Maurice Heyman. I'm the program director here at the Idea Center for the Arts. Honored to serve our young people. But on behalf of the young people, and with so many distractions in regards to the content in the music and the content in the movies, like what are words of encouragement or even words of wisdom or warning for even say to plant seeds inside our youth about the importance of the access that they have to create here? And what would you say to the young people in here as far as what steps that they should take now at this early age in life to kind of sort of combat the things that we are well aware of as adults as well too? Sometimes like I think the kids, kind of smooth by because, like me, I was born during the crack era, so the reality was outside of our doorsteps every day. What would you say to these young people, to pay attention to or to be inspired about using their gifts, you know what I mean, like at this early stage of their lives?
For sure. I mean, that's a great question. The issue that young people, it's cool to be different. Be different. Don't be like everybody else. That is played out, that's lame, there's nothing to that. Be different. That is fine. And to be different in this world means that you don't just mass consume a lot of the stuff that you can easily have access to. Create your own stuff. And the challenge in terms of you creating something that is really like of you and not something that you're imitating is you having to get to know who you are better. And that's a daily journey, right? So I encourage you to get up every morning. We encourage meditation, prayer, affirmations. You should be looking in the mirror saying, I am amazing, I am brilliant, I am intelligent, I am awesome, I am loved. All of that every day, right? You got to do that every day because you got to build it in yourself, because when you step outside, when you turn on the TV, when you turn on the radio, you're hearing, or when you get on social media, you're hearing a different message about who you are. And so you've got to affirm who you are and then write. Every morning, write something. At the end of the day, write something. Journal. Just capture your own thoughts, how you feel. And you're doing it not because it's ever going to become published, just so that you can get in the habit of checking in with yourself and being able to say, I felt like this today when this happened to me. Because so often I think we're not being honest about how we feel, and we're discouraged at times to even be honest. And then read. That piece is how you build. The great writers are readers. The great creators are readers. And so those are the things that I would encourage, and just keep getting in the space. Consistency over everything. Being consistent. Like, if this spot is open 5 days a week, be in here 5 days a week. Because where else would you be? If it's open 7 days a week, be in here 7 days a week. Because it gives you a chance to be in a space that allows you to do something different than what everybody else is doing. Yes, sir.
I have one question. It's a lot of youth in here, under 15 it looks like, and I'm kind of worried about the concern or the impression made because they don't care or they don't know how to care. What is a good tip to get involved without prejudice? Why do you don't have to have an attack to say, hey, I'm gonna do my research on this Black liberation. How do you then, as a young person that has never been in a moment of trial or turmoil of your Blackness or your POC-ness, what happens to still be informed about who you are without prejudice either? Because you don't want to do this just because you're of the white man. You don't want to do that. You just want to be, involved and have information. At this age, there's no social studies. There's no actual, because that was my class. Right? That's where I got, okay, that's what's happening without prejudice. I'm just learning. But there's no class for that. So therefore, they're showing up now. They already have the chip. And how do you get the information before the chip?
Yeah.
Where is that?
Yeah. That's a great question, because what we decided to do was to get this lesson plan on, we got it up on the website so that a kid could be self-guided. They didn't feel like, anybody has to be on them. And if they use the study guide, it kind of directs them to other things. What we really need y'all to do is think. That's really what we're encouraging you to critically think. That's what has been dumbed down so much by all of the distractions and information, is just thinking. And part of the way you think is you got to get still. You got to get still a little bit. You can't, it just can't be activity after activity after activity. Like, take some time and just sit for a minute. Say, hey, we're going to give you a few minutes to just take some deep breaths. At the Black Man Lab, and when we talk about consistency, every Monday in Atlanta, we meet at the Andrew and Walter Young YMCA. We come into this space. It's probably about this size. And when we come into the space, before the pandemic, we were at about 200 black men coming every single Monday from 6:30 to 8. And those who are organizers, that's really kind of unheard of, to have that many black men coming on a weekly basis. It don't happen at church that you can gather that many. But part of what was the draw and continues to be is stealing the space. And what I mean by that is that before we start, we get everybody to take 3 deep breaths and just let it go, chill. And then the other piece that's really important is that we invite brothers, because it's an all male space, we invite any brother who's had a rough day, a rough week, we even say a rough life, right? Because we get brothers coming straight out of the pen into the space. Come in the middle and let us show you love. And then brothers get up, we just start hugging and vibing. And it just changes the energy. And so that takes that chip off. Because if you can imagine, we've got brothers from we might have a lawyer, a doctor, a brother who just did 20 years, all in the same space. An unemployed brother, a brother who's a millionaire, a student, a 12-year-old, a 5-year-old, and an 88-year-old, all in the same space. And so we gotta break down any isms and issues in order to build together. So those are just some of the things. But young people, y'all are the answer. If you got a problem, just know that you're the answer to it, and commit to that. Don't say, don't throw your hands up. You the one. You the one. You didn't get here by accident. The fact that we're in this space together. I know some of y'all are like, man, I can't wait for this to be over. Nah, we in here on a mission together. And of all the places that we could have been, we're here in this exact moment together.
Speaking of young people being an answer, let me go to this young brother over here has a quick question. This young man came in from Freedom Prep, and the first day he came inside the program, he had a book written already, scripted his entire film, shot his film, acted, directed, and he has been a phenomenal example of young people stepping into a space and utilizing the opportunity. So I just want to give this young man a chance to speak.
So,
That's Ahmad? All right, okay, brother Ahmad. You ain't tell me all of that when you introduce yourself, man.
I got you, bro.
So, I guess my question is, what are some tips or like some advice that you have for authors, specifically like black young authors like myself? So what do you like some type of advice?
Man, share your pieces wherever you can. What I would think would happen with you is that you could say you wanted to give away 100 books, and you do a you figure out what the cost of printing your book is, and you do a fundraiser, right? When I say a fundraiser, I'm talking about a GoFundMe, put something on social media, ask people to buy the book so that you can donate it, and then try to gather other young people to give them the book. Go into spaces where young people are reading or thinking about reading and give away your book, right? Because you just want to get as many people as you can reading it and seeing you as an author and hearing your voice. Go read your book, like contact schools and say, I want to come and read some of my book to a 7th grade or 8th grade, depending on whatever the content is, so that they can see you reading, and that's so important, is that we model what we believe is the answer. And we know if reading is a powerful and potent way to gain information, then we should model it. We should show them, like, hey, look, let me read to 3rd graders, 4th graders, whatever it is. But that's what I would suggest, and just keep connecting with other authors. We love, man, for you to come to Atlanta, be a part of Black Man Lab one night. Talk about being a young author, creator. Those are the kind of things that we do. Is we bring people on subject matters to talk in the space about their journey, because we know that we inspire each other. And when we tell our story, and everybody has a story, when we tell our story, you could change people's lives. There was a man who told me a story in Philadelphia in 1992. And because he told me that story, I'm standing here. His name is Edward Robinson. He wrote a book called The Journey of the Songhai People. And he told me, he said, sit down here and let me tell you who you are. And it was, my life hadn't been the same since. So that's how it goes. So you got power in your pen, brother, for sure. That's right, to connect with the National Black Authors Tour. Yes, sir.
I have a question. My name is Isaac Gang. We've met before. And one of the core things that is at the core of most people's creation and destruction is mental health.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that gets overlooked too often. And the young lady here mentioned something about we have mostly 15 and under, a lot of 15 and under kids here. And what's happening now today is a lot of adolescents, young kids are dealing with serious mental health issues. It could be anxiety, depression, disorders, stuff like that. And what do you say to these children today who are here listening, who are maybe insecure, maybe dealing with anxiety or depression, maybe acting out in school, not understanding that their real issue is some form of disorder that hasn't been diagnosed properly, and to their mothers and fathers, how do the children, because they spend most time with each other,
Right.
they are the ones that will recognize this first, and even in themselves. What do you say to these kids if they have a friend or a classmate or a family member who is presenting some form of maladaptive behavior?
Right.
How do they deal with that within themselves? How do they seek help? How do they ask for help? How do they approach someone if they feel, because I know that they may not know how to say it, but they know what they're feeling. They just don't know how to approach someone. What advice could you give them?
Yeah.
How could they approach someone that can possibly help you?
That's critically important. We are a family who believe in counseling, and we have to debunk the myth that we shouldn't be in counseling. We don't need help, just be strong, suck it up. All of those old myths, they have to die, right? We have to let them go. And so I believe that every time I've asked for help and what I've gotten help. So I believe the universe, the way it works is that you just ask you keep looking for help. Even if you don't know, you just tell someone, I don't feel myself, I don't feel right. I see you, going through something. Let me encourage and connect with an adult that you trust. That's why it's so important as adults that we keep making ourselves available, that we keep being accessible, and not get to a point where it just becomes intimidating or too intimidating for for a child to pull our coattail, say, yo, Mr. B, I need some help, man, I'm going through something. Those are the kind of situations that we've been, we experience in Black Man Lab. We talk about it at the very beginning. We say, if you need a job, if you need to get in school, if you need mental health support, come to this brother right here. His name is Martin Monaghan, our executive director. Just whenever you want to, slide over and holler at him. And we got him on tap.
So you said it's okay for a young child, if you witness something, to go to a counselor or a parent.
Oh, we need that.
It's not snitching.
Oh, no, you're helping, because we see too many young people who are not getting the support, and the people around them say, yeah, I knew that something was off, but I didn't want to say nothing. Nah, we need everybody to speak. What we're talking about, and the premise around the Black Man Lab, is to recreate community. That's what this space is. This is a creation of community, a level of intentionality. And in community, when we see somebody that's struggling, we say, let me help you. Or we reach and say, hey, can you help my friend? But it's the building of community where people feel trusted, right? One of the things that we talk about even in coaching is that if you really want to coach a kid up, get them to trust you first so that they can take correction. If they know that you love them, then they're able to take correction versus, who is this dude? Who is this woman trying to tell me this or tell me that? Oh, you have a relationship, so we have to build those relationships.
We thank you so much for your time, but we know that you're on a tight schedule. You got like 5 minutes left.
Okay.
And I know a lot of adults been asking questions, but this is our kid safe space.
Sure.
Like some of the young ones, they submitted an anonymous question as well too, which I absolutely love. And a young man said, it appears that you've been through a lot. How did you get through all of that? What were some of the things that helped you cope and to help you get through those periods of time inside your life as well?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I'll tell y'all a very quick story that I talk about in the book. I was at my office one day, my law office, and I was feeling crazy tight. And I was like, man, something's up with me. So I go over to a doctor that's right in our complex, and he's one of my fraternity brothers, and I'm like, yo, man, can I get in? He's like, yeah, come on. So he gets me in the back, sends a nurse back. She takes my blood. She comes scrambling back in, and she's like, hey, do you have a cookie? You got any candy? I'm like, nah, I don't. I'm like, that's a weird question to be asking me. I'm trying to get checked out. And so he comes back in on her heels with this needle to inject me with insulin. And he's like, man, your blood sugar's out of control. If you had any kind of snack or cookies or candy, you could have died. So he injects me with insulin, and then he's asking me the question, do you run? It's like, bro, I played basketball for 20 years on concrete. No, I don't run. I barely walk. He said, well, start walking, and then you're going to need to change your lifestyle. And so I started walking, getting on treadmill and doing stuff. And one day as I built up, I really started feeling myself. And so I reached to my youngest son, who was at the time a senior in high school, and I said, hey man, we're on a vacation. I said, get on the treadmill next to me. If you beat me in this 3-mile run, I'll pay you $50. He was like, oh, bet, I got you, right? He was excited. He's like, I'm gonna take your bread. So he gets on the treadmill next to me. And so I set my normal pace. And I'm doing my thing, you know, I'm feeling good. And then I see him, he sets a pace. And he's going. I was like, oh, he'll slow down. He wasn't slowing down. So I had to increase my pace. And so as I increased my pace, he still beat me, but it was only by 68 seconds. All right? But
So you say.
so I said, but by the time it was over, I had run the fastest 3 miles I'd ever run. And the point was, and to respond to that, is who you run with in life that's going to get you through. Right? Is who you surround yourself with. And so all the stuff that I've been through, I can tell you my people who helped bring me through. Who were like, nah, man, you're not going to do that. I know you mad. I know you feeling some kind of way, but not that. Or I failed, and they said, man, get up. And they wouldn't let me stay down. And so it's so important, young people, that you connect with people who, friends, your peers, who will love you and support you and not hate on you. So if there are folks that you know they really be hating on you and they really not trying to show you no real true love, slide away. 3 of my best friends to this day, we played on the playgrounds in Jeffrey Manor. They still my boys. I still call them up. They still check me when they feel like I'm out of pocket and vice versa. So that's how I've been able to go through the things that I have in my life. And of course, faith and prayer and listening, you know, for a divine guidance, whatever your tradition might be. Thank y'all.
And please give this good brother a round of applause. Those were some amazing things he's given. Give him a round of applause. Can we get a couple of y'all to
Can I take a picture with y'all, anybody?
Got the Idea Center, so we rep out there. Family Mason, come on, hop up. Carlton.
Thank you all. Good.
Ahmad.
Y'all get up.
That was an excellent question, young brother. Come on, boy.
Got all of this equipment up in here, everybody. How you doing? Good. Good. Yeah, man. We gotta get out here. Get y'all out here. You got coming up, sis? Yes. Come on up here.
I would think so one time.
Yeah, but we're gonna bring you back. Yes. Oh, wow.
Come on, Mrs. Scott.
Yes.
Superintendent is building.
Oh, man. That's awesome. My wife is the chair of my school board. It was